Hey, Kate, can I tell you what I ate last night?
Absolutely.
Everything. Literally everything in the world.
Awesome.
Thank you. Again, you're always so proud of me and supportive. I went to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and God, was it good. I was out of town, and it just had all these amazing things, pretty much everything I love. It had macaroni and cheese. It had all these really great pasta salads. It had some really great hummus. And then it had this bevy, I tell you, of desserts. And I was sort of proud of myself because I only went up twice.
Really?
I know, right? But they were really big platefuls. So there you go.
Yeah, well, we do what we can, right? And I think even only going up twice is pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Those all-you-can-eat buffets are a horrible idea.
Whose idea were those, I want to know?
Oh, my Lord. I don't know. Well, have you ever had pizza made with a cauliflower crust before?
No, but I've only heard about them.
It is delicious.
Really?
Yes, it's really, really good. And it's easy to make, basically. You have to just put cauliflower in the food processor, basically. And then the hard part is you have to squeeze the water out of it in a towel. So that's the annoying part. And then you just put a few other things in and make a crust. And you kind of do it in a specific way. But you could pick it up. It wasn't mushy. And it was really, really delicious.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
No gluten, a cruciferous vegetable, which are one of the best ones. It was awesome.
What kind of vegetable did you call cauliflower?
Cruciferous.
My head hurts because of that word.
Cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. There's a whole bunch of other ones, but those are the main ones that have that kind of, I think of them as the ones that sort of look like brains a little bit.
Cute.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. I am Rick Fiore.
And I'm Kate DeVore.
And this is our ongoing conversation about food, health, weight management, and our endeavor to be and stay healthy in a really tasty world.
With love, kindness, and compassion toward ourselves and others. Today, we are having our first threesome. Rick and I are talking together to celebrity chef Jason Wrobel about his new book, Eaternity. More than 150 deliciously easy vegan recipes for a long, healthy, satisfied, joyful life.
Even if you're not a vegan, Jason has a lot of practical advice about food, self-love, happiness, and believe it or not, Hyundai cars.
This is also a do-over, we want to let you know. We actually recorded an entire interview and at the very end had a technical problem and lost one of the recording tracks. So we had to do the whole thing over. And so this is the redo. And you're still going to hear a few technical glitches. There's some echoes here and there. So we just ask you to bear with it. They won't last long. It's not that bad. And we're sorry.
And Jason had so many great things to say that we put together a second half of this interview on YouTube. So go to YouTube. Our site is You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night, and subscribe. We need your numbers. Please subscribe.
Please. And before the show starts, a little quick housekeeping. We're excited that we're now able to accept questions and stories and what you ate last night in audio clip form, and we can play it on the podcast. So you can send us an MP3, or you can even make a little recording on your phone and we can convert it and we'll play it. Tell us a story, ask us a question, let us know what you had for dinner, and we'll play it on the air. You can email it to us. Yay! You can email it to us at youwon'tbelievewhatIate@gmail.com. Now on for the interview. All right. Hello and welcome. We are very excited to have a special guest with us today, celebrity vegan chef Jason Wrobel. Hay House has just published his beautiful new book, which is called Eaternity, subtitled More Than 150 Deliciously Easy Vegan Recipes for a Long, Healthy, Satisfied, Joyful Life. Jason focuses on functional eating, which is about discovering the ingredients in foods that can optimize various aspects of people's lives, like eating for increased energy or emotional health or better sleep and so on. He's a certified raw food chef and instructor and has been an executive raw food chef. He hosts the popular YouTube channel The J-Ro Show, showcasing healthy recipes, lifestyle transformation tips, and Epicurean entertainment. His television series on the cooking channel, How to Live to 100, is the first primetime vegan cooking series in TV history. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, guys. Pleasure to be back and here again.
Hi, Jason.
Good to see both of you.
Good to see you, too.
Thank you. We have a very probing question for you right off the start. What did you eat last night, Jason?
Oh, sorry. I was reviewing. I was like, all the days are blending into each other. Last night, I made something very simple and delicious. I had a spaghetti squash, a roasted spaghetti squash. And I made that with a little coconut oil. Had a fresh organic marinara sauce, put in some fire roasted tomatoes. And then I topped that with something fancy. I topped that with a little bit of black truffle salt.
Ooh.
I know. It was so delicious, so simple. So I kept it light last night.
Oh, I want to be you. That's so awesome.
Are you sure?
Delicious.
Are you sure you want to be me, Rick? Because I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm not necessarily proud of. It was New York and I was young and I needed the money.
Well, that I'd take too, but as long as I was eating healthy now, I'd totally be you.
When you're a young actor and musician in the Big Apple, you do things to get by.
Ah, classic.
Yes. True enough. We'll leave that there. So let's talk a little bit more about your book. It is so incredibly beautiful. It's beautifully laid out. The pictures are gorgeous. We'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of the layout in a minute. But I want to start with a more general question of what made you write it, because I know it's not easy to write a book.
I saw a real need to present healthy, plant-based food in a way that was really approachable, really entertaining, written in a very conversational tone, as if I'm in the room just riffing like with you guys right now. And kind of demystifying people eating healthier, that you can enjoy the same comfort foods, the pizza, the buffalo bites, the burgers, the ice creams, the floats, the puddings, all the stuff that we grew up with, but you can make healthier versions of it that still have the same taste and texture that you're familiar with. So I was very sneaky and ninja-like in the sense that I wanted to meet people where they're at. And not everyone wants, wheatgrass shots and sprout salads and buckwheat granola. God bless all those things.
And colloidal silver.
But if people see the cover shot, which is burgers and tacos and cookies and fresh fruit salads and buffalo wings, people can see that on the cover and go, wait a sec, I know what all that stuff is. They'll immediately recognize the food, and there's no explanation necessary. So I very much wrote this with, my family back in Detroit in mind. Like, what would resonate with them the most if they opened up this book, and what would they want to make in their home kitchens?
That's fantastic. And I am literally salivating looking at these pictures. Everything in the book looks fantastic.
It's pretty stunning. It's beautifully laid out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So we talked in your intro, or I did, about you being a raw food chef, but I wanted to clarify that this is a vegan cookbook, but it's not a raw vegan cookbook. So some of the recipes are raw and some of them are cooked. But I did want to ask you about raw food, because I think a lot of us think, when I think of raw food, I kind of think of salad. But I suspect there's more to it than that. Can you talk a little bit about what more there is?
Absolutely. A lot of people do have that top of mind thing when you say raw food. They either think of salads or they think of sushi. So, you can be a raw foodist and still consume, raw animal products. So being a raw foodist does not intrinsically mean you're eating a vegan or vegetarian diet. Raw foodists can span across many different genres and ways of eating. But beyond salads and sushi, if we think about raw food, we're thinking about eating food that is in its unprocessed, uncooked, virtually unheated state. They've done studies and research showing that beyond 118 degrees Fahrenheit, if you cook food for long periods of time, you start to see a degradation in enzyme activity. You start to see some nutrient loss in terms of minerals and vitamins. So by keeping food in its unprocessed, raw, fresh form, fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh nuts and seeds, and eating things in their raw state, we're getting more of that available nutrition in our bodies.
That makes sense.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks.
So here's a question for you, Jason. I was just wondering, so, when I was reading your book, I just thought it's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. And when I read all these recipes, it just makes me so happy. And you always talk, in your book, you talk about this one section called using fuel as food. And
food is fuel?
Food is fuel. Yeah. Well, there you go. Using food as fuel. And so I was like, what would you say to someone? And I'm not going to mention any names, but he's on this podcast and he's male and it's not you. But what would you say to someone who has never been able to see food that way?
You're talking about my cat Lynx, right? Because he's in the room.
Yeah, listen, I've been wanting to blame Lynx for something.
He's actually on top of the sauna right now. You can't see him, so. But is it okay if I talk smack about you, buddy? Is that cool? Yeah, okay.
No complaints from Lynx.
No complaints. I would say it's, treating food as a fuel source, which really is, if we get down to what the purpose and the purpose of nutrients and nourishing our body is, it's to fuel the machine, the body, to get through our day with energy and vitality, feeling good about accomplishing our goals and not needing to take that mid-afternoon crash nap, or not having to come home at the end of our workday and feeling like we're just going to turn into a puddle of goo. So what we've done is we've kind of attached all these other meanings to food, including emotional comfort or certain addictions. I think two of the things I see a lot is if we're going through a lot of emotional turmoil in our lives, like a breakup or the loss of a loved one or other things, we turn to food for this emotional comfort. And that's not really the intrinsic purpose of food. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's not the purpose of why it's here on the planet, I don't think. And the other thing too, and this is part of my challenge that I've had with my lifestyle and eating habits, is for a lot of people that have grown up with some trauma in their lives or some turmoil, food and what we choose to put in our mouths is one of the few things in our lives that we have direct control over. We can choose what we select at the grocery store. We can choose going to the fast food restaurant or not. We have absolute control over how we spend our money and what we put into our bodies. So I think for people that have gone through some form of trauma or have felt some victimhood or loss of control in their lives, even at a young age, food is one way for them to feel that sense of control. So there's a lot of emotional components wrapped up in our food choices, but what I'm trying to do is shift that into, look, we can find other ways of finding love in our lives, self-love. We can find other ways of addressing the trauma and the pain in our lives and not projecting all that onto our food choices. Because ultimately, I don't think that's a healthy way to live. And I don't think it's very fair to the food. What did pizza ever do to get that put on it? That's a burden to bear for a pie.
Jason, let me tell you, I have an intimate relationship with pizza. Let me tell you.
As do I, sir. As do I. I spent 3 years in Chicago, and I had my body weight in deep dish there.
Oh, nice. Body weight and deep dish. That's awesome.
Yes.
It is. And that whole idea of treating ourselves well and the self-love concept is so interesting, because I think a lot of people think the way I'm going to treat myself well this evening when I get home from my exhausting workday filled with annoying things and technology that crashes and all those things that we're all dealing with is I'm going to sit on the couch and order a pizza and drink a bottle of wine. So what would you say to that? If that's what somebody's perspective is on treating oneself kindly, how might we shift that?
I think people can indulge and honor their indulgences on a moderate and balanced basis. I'm by no means saying don't have that glass of wine from time to time, or if you see that magical vegan croissant in the bakery that has never appeared before, it's like the holy grail. You're like, oh, vegan, oh my God. And it's a chocolate vegan croissant. What in God's name? Enjoy the croissant, enjoy the glass of wine, but don't use it as a crutch, because I think that what we have is this Band-Aid mentality that after the stressful day, we try and medicate ourselves with the sweet, sugary, doughy foods. We try and medicate ourselves with the alcoholic drinks. But by sacrificing the momentary relaxation or the momentary stress relief, we are potentially doing longer harm over the course of many years. So I think having a distinction between moderate indulgences and taking a more sustainable approach to our stress relief is an important thing to understand.
It is. It's the instant gratification thing. It's in this moment, this will make me feel better, but it probably won't make me feel better not only next week, but maybe an hour from now even.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's getting people present, I think, to being really sensitive to their bodies. As I was going through this journey, and I've seen it with so many of my clients too, as they shift from a standard American diet, eating all the processed artificial foods, sweeteners, additives, everything under the sun, to just experimenting with eating cleaner foods. Not only do people's palate change, you get an actual aesthetic taste change in your mouth and what you gravitate toward, But when you go back to those foods you were used to, you don't feel so good after you eat them anymore. So it's getting more sensitive to the effect that food has on our bodies. And I think we naturally become more sensitive with the cleaner we eat.
I would agree. And Kate and I have talked about this quite often, is that when we go through phases where we're really doing well and on a great track, we notice that and you start to crave those items more and you want them more. And then when you go back to your old ways, it totally registers, right? Oh, that's not good. That's not optimal.
Yeah, and not just from a mental perspective, Rick, but like I said, like a body feeling, like, ooh, okay, so I had 2 to 3 glasses of wine, and I kind of feel a little bit effed up in not a good way now. And I've noticed that that's just a consistent theme, that once you start eating this way, and they say the general rule of thumb is, 21 to 30 days of consistent focused effort with clean eating. That's different for everybody and everyone's constitution. But, I use my mom as an example. Mom, if you're listening, I love you.
We love you too, Mrs. Jason.
Mom has told me in confidence that, she sometimes will go back to like whatever, the Danish or the sugary, weird fried thing. And she'll have it. And she's like, oh God, I felt like crap afterwards. She's like, I can't go back. And that's through my mom just eating super clean, experimenting with her health. And I always say, look, if my mom, who's 66, can do it in Detroit, Michigan, anybody can find time in the way to do it, no matter where you are. It just requires discipline and experimentation and having fun with it. And that, I think, is the most effective approach.
And I think this all comes down to being able to really listen to and hear your body. And I think that when we get rid of some of the noise that our body has to create when it's dealing with things that are more toxic, then it's easier to actually hear what our body's telling us, I think, maybe, yeah?
100%, because as we get rid of the toxins and all that toxic buildup, that we've eaten from all the years, as I mentioned, from food additives and artificial sweeteners, artificial ingredients, preservatives, all the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, I mean, it's mind-boggling how much we have bombarded ourselves here in the United States with so much of the crappy stuff in our food. And my God, the resilience of the human body. I'm surprised I'm still alive. I should be dead. I should have been dead at 20. Seriously, I should have been dead at 20. And the fact that I'm almost 40 now is like, whoa. And so the power to heal our bodies and get sensitive, I think, is a natural result when we take out those artificial products, we allow our bodies to heal itself, to detox from all that crap, and then all of a sudden we pay attention to those subtle nuances more and more.
Yeah, because your book, while it's a vegan book, you don't have to be vegan to benefit from it, right? Like, do you have the philosophy that this is an all or nothing thing? You're either vegan or you're not? Or is there a way that somebody who isn't vegan and quite frankly doesn't want to be vegan, how might they make use of your material here?
I think it's extremely user-friendly, not only in the sense that the recipes, again, coming from that healthy comfort food approach. If you're in the mood for cauliflower lentil tacos and you just want to say, okay, you know what, I don't want to do ground beef today. I'm just going to try these tacos and see how they taste and feel. Do a meatless Monday and see how you feel. But the nutritional principles, the guidelines in this book, independent of it being a vegan cookbook, you can extrapolate the nutritional information and a lot of the food choices in here, and you can throw it in whatever recipe you want. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure of health is how I like to frame it.
And you guys, one of the coolest things about this book that I've never seen before is what we talked about a little bit a minute ago about the functional eating, is he breaks down the chapters in terms of foods that are helpful for different things, that are good for better sleep or a better sex life or better skin. And that's really fascinating. And at the end, he has a list of the foods that are good for that particular thing. How did you figure all that out?
A lot of research. For me, it was really the genesis of this book took, my God, 2.5 years from origination to final product. So, what I really wanted to do was structure it in a functional way. So I thought, okay, how can I craft recipes that are going to help support people with, eating for better sex and sleep and weight loss and eyesight and strong bones? So I broke down the categories first and thought, okay, what are my favorite foods in each one of these categories? what are the nutrients in these foods that help people accomplish that goal? And then how can I creatively spin these foods into recipes that are going to make sense and be familiar? So it was a very logical, systematic approach that I took. And it took a long time to do that because I just wanted it to be as easy and approachable as possible, and not like most health books that I've seen, which are kind of intimidating. I mean, even for me, having studied this for, over 11 years now professionally and doing this, there are some health books I'll open up and go, oh God, are you kidding me? I know it's good. There's good information, but I don't want to read it. So I wanted it to structure in a sense that people could open to any chapter and get something good out of it, and it wouldn't be too intimidating.
That's great.
Do you have any thoughts for people on how they might cultivate more active self-love other than the ones we've discussed? I know you're not a therapist per se, but I wondered if you might have any thoughts on that. Radical
self-approval. And I know I'm not a therapist, although I've done plenty of therapy. I think at the core, we often live so much in resistance to what's happening in our lives. We're constantly pushing up against, no, this isn't supposed to be. This isn't supposed how my life was turned out. I wasn't supposed to be in this position. We're in constant resistance to everything in our lives. Yeah. And what that does is that breeds a sense of complete disempowerment, that breeds a sense of resentment and anger and frustration. And I think radical self-acceptance is really a foundational key to cultivate more self-love, because if we can relax a little bit and we can say, okay, you know what? If I just trust and find a way to trust that what's showing up for me in this moment is here for a reason. I may not know that reason in this moment, but if I look back personally at the most painful, challenging, harrowing moments of my life, I can really see the seed of love. I can see the seed of growth. I can see the seed of somehow cultivating more acceptance and compassion for those situations. And there was a gift there. So that radical acceptance, that releasing of resistance in our lives, I think is a healthy foundation for building that self-love and radical self-acceptance.
I like it. Fantastic.
Like it. Yeah. Kate and I are just sitting here nodding our heads. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. We're just nodding quietly, forgetting we should say stuff.
It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's like, oh, wake up tomorrow and like, whatever happens, sure. The rent didn't get paid, and sure, the cat got stuck in the tree, and my car tires are flat, and it's all good. It takes a lot of work to arrive at that point. It takes, and it takes a daily practice of saying, okay, I'm either going to react to the situations in my life or breathe and focus and respond to them. So it's moving from reaction to response, two very different ways of handling life.
Right. Said. A reaction is just based on the external stimulus, right? And the response comes from something deeper. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
It's an internal sense of going from a victim mentality of the world is against me, everything's going wrong, why does this always happen to me, to, okay, this thing is happening. I can't change this thing because it's happening. So what is the healthiest, most efficient and loving way to deal with this situation? Accept that it's happening. If I need to emotionally process and cry and have a breakdown, that's okay. But if I accept that this thing is happening, and no amount of resistance is going to change this moment, how can I respond? How can I attempt to respond with love? How can I attempt to respond with compassion and for myself and whoever else is in this situation, and come up with a solution? Because if we're reacting from our belief systems, if we're reacting from those patterns of behavior, there's no solution in there. There's no solution. It's just pain and misery and anguish and suffering. So practicing moving from reacting from those belief systems into responding with love and clarity and compassion, I think is all of our work here on the planet. All of our work as a collective human species.
Yeah, I agree. And it's painful having been through periods of my time, of my life where I feel like I am in that stage, and then periods where I fall out of it and not quite seeing the way back in is tricky sometimes, because I know that place you're talking about. And I agree that's the goal, is to be in that space.
Yeah. And it requires just daily practice every single day, just trying to relax and ease into love, ease into compassion for ourselves. And we're all in this together. And one thing that's really helped me, guys, is, whenever I've had a very painful situation with someone, and as so many of us, I've had a lot in my life, is just trying to arrive at a conclusion and saying, you know what? This person, in whatever way they've shown up in my life, they were doing their best in the moment. Mm-hmm. They were doing their best in their state of consciousness, in their belief system, in reacting out of fear or pain or stress. They were just doing their best. And that allows me to cultivate more compassion for the situation and that person.
And for me, you're talking about probably one of the single most difficult practices to do, what you just talked about. Yeah, it's a huge one.
But it's so worthwhile.
So what would you say? What would be the one thing you would say, like, tomorrow, like when or me, anyone listening, when you wake up from sleeping, you swing your feet off the bed onto the floor and your feet touch the floor. What's like the one thing you would tell them to start with tomorrow?
A gratitude prayer. Mm. And I say prayer very liberally, whatever someone's spiritual, religious beliefs are, or none at all. It's applicable to everyone. Is, for me, saying some version of, thank you so much for another day. Thank you. I have another day of life and love and learning. I have another opportunity to connect and touch people. I have another opportunity to cultivate more peace and prosperity in my life and health in my life. And every morning when I wake up, before I do anything else, I just give thanks for another day. I give thanks for the gift of life. And that is a tremendously powerful practice to start the day before we do anything, is just giving thanks for being alive. And it's so simple, but my God, it's so effective.
Right on. I think my favorite thing about your approach, there's a lot of technical things about your work that I think are really interesting and novel and creative and wonderful. But I think my favorite is that it's all about living your best life and being who you're meant to be. And food is one of the ways that we do that. And I think you're just doing that really beautifully.
Thank you.
Amen.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So how can folks find and follow you, Jason?
I am all over the internet. If people want to find the book, I'm everywhere. I'm like Kim Kardashian's butt.
Oh,
I wish.
Yeah, one of those other things I'm not compelled to look at.
Yeah, but you can't look away. When you do see it, you just can't look away. People can find me on my website. My book is out. People can pre-order it. It's available in the U.S., Canada, and the United Kingdom right now. They can go to jasonwrobel.com. That's Jason, W-R-O-B as in boy, E-L.com. /Eaternity. That's EATERNITY. And I'm
See what he did there with that title, you guys?
I'm a big fan of the puns and double entendres.
He's clever.
Too,
and on the social media platforms, people can find me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is @JasonWrobel. On YouTube, it's Jason Wrobel TV. Pinterest, it's Jason Wrobel. And I'm also on Snapchat for all you millennials and net genners. Come follow me. What up, yo? YOLO.
God love you for doing all that.
I know, right? All right, here's our final hard-hitting question, okay? Let's say you had to go to an island and you're going to be alone and you can only take like 5 foods with you. What would you take?
This is the equivalent of asking me if I could only take 5 albums for the rest of my life.
That's right.
Which is really... Well, I can answer that too if you want.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay, foods. I'm going to think in terms of versatility. Definitely coconut would be the first one because I can do the milk out of there, the water, the meat, protein rich, really high in electrolytes. So coconut, definitely first one, which would be easy on a tropical island. Hey.
That's right.
Avocado, blueberries, hemp seeds,
That one surprised me.
Maybe I could find a way to smoke them too on the, I don't know. You can't, by the way, for everyone out there, you cannot smoke hemp seeds.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And the last one I would definitely do like raw chocolate, like cacao.
Cacao. What's the difference between cacao and cocoa?
So cocoa powder is the heavily machine processed version of cacao, which is the raw chocolate bean. So cocoa is usually processed with alkali and some artificial fillers. Cacao is the pure, raw, powdered version of ground up cacao beans. So it has all the nutritional components like magnesium and antioxidants. And raw chocolate, dark chocolate in particular, has the ability to create more anandamide in our brain and PEA. Anandamide and phenylethylamine are two brain chemicals.
Easy for you to say.
Have you guys been in love? You guys have been in love, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming? Okay. So you know those gushy, goo-goo feelings like, baby, I love you so much. Oh my God, I just want to like throw you in a bathtub and like cover you in chocolate sauce and lick you. That feeling? Yeah.
Yes.
So we can replicate that feeling. We can replicate that feeling by eating raw chocolate.
Good Lord, I'm going to go get some chocolate right now. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So chocolate is a great, great substitute if you're not in a relationship, but you want to have those lovey, gushy feelings.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. It's been really terrific. And everybody go buy Jason's book and join and subscribe to his YouTube channel. There's all kinds of good stuff on there.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you
Thanks
so much, guys.
Jason.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
We want to remind you that there's another full 30 minutes on our YouTube channel. You won't believe what I ate. Please subscribe to that and also subscribe to us on iTunes. If you'd be so kind, tell everyone you know to subscribe to us and review us and let us know what you think. And also follow us on our Facebook page.
And please join us for our next episode on the perception of weight gain professionally, personally, and pop culturally.
This podcast is supported by generous donations from our listeners. So please visit us at patreon.com/you won't believe what I ate to support the podcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you.